Hey guys, Miss Ra here to help you with your upcoming exam as we prepare to write an extended petal paragraph. These are the steps we're going to look at today, and we're going to start by reading and breaking down the question.
We're going to have a look at this question, which is how has the Gothic setting been used to create feelings of dread or fear in the characters? So our first step is breaking down the question.
Since our questioning verb is how, we have to start by identifying the thing that creates dread.
So for example, it would be the isolated house.
Next, we'll address the Gothic setting of our film, Coraline. The large isolated house is the Gothic convention and the setting. The question is asking us how the setting makes Coraline fearful, so we'll have to identify that later on. Make sure that you're defining any words you're unsure of, like the word dread. It means a strong feeling of fear and worry about something that might happen in the future. Now that we've unpacked the question, let's write our point sentence. Step 2. Answer the question with an idea or an argument. Now, let's answer the question. We'll start by answering the question with a simple statement. Since the question is asking us about Gothic setting creating fear in Coraline, we can write the statement. The Gothic setting of the isolated house creates a sense of fear in Coraline. Now that's okay, but let's make the sentence more argumentative rather than a statement. To do this, I'm going to write a reason for Coraline feeling dread in the isolated house. So I've written that she feels afraid because she feels trapped in the house. Now that our answer is more argumentative, let's have a closer look at why I've written my point sentence in this way. So I've identified the Gothic setting I want to explore. And I've chosen the isolated house as it creates feelings of dread because we feel scared when we're alone in open areas as we're unable to hide. And if we have a look at the second part of the sentence, I've added a conjunction to explain why the house creates dread. We are identifying that she feels scared in the house because she feels trapped. A mistake I see very commonly is students write their point sentence without trying to prove a point. That is why it's called a point sentence. The rest of your paragraph will be written in order to prove this point. Step 3. Collecting your examples for your ETE table. So I'm going to use the Selden method to explain why I'm choosing these particular moments in the film to explain why Coraline feels dread in the isolated house. So when Coraline's complaining to her mother that she feels bored and trapped in the house, the use of dialogue communicates Coraline's excitement to go outside, even when it is raining, which is implying that she feels trapped in the house with only unappealing options to occupy her attention. The second example I've chosen is when Coraline goes to her father's room and asks about going outside. The extreme long shot shows that the father's room is very cluttered and messy. So the father's study, there's boxes and papers piled to the ceiling, which communicates that the house feels cramped and small. The boxes also block out a lot of the outside world's light, evoking feelings of being trapped or boxed in. So I'm going to use these two examples to explain why Caroline feels dread and fear in the isolated house. Step 4. Putting it all together. Now we're going to put all the steps together. We'll start with our point sentence, then we'll collate our ETE tables to form full sentences. This is where planning goes a long way. Pause the video here to read through the two examples. Now we'll put it all together in writing and editing. We're going to use our petal structure. However, we're going to do a little bit differently. We're going to start with P-E-T-E, then you're going to add a conjunction, and then E-T-E-L. When putting everything together, it's important to add an appropriate conjunction. If I'm going against my first example, I can use a conjunction however. But if I'm adding to my first examples, which most of you will be doing, you will add conjunctions like moreover, in addition, also, additionally, etc. Pause the video here to read through the final petal paragraph. Just remember your linking sentence should summarize what you've said in your paragraph, and you're basically saying, this is why my argument is true. So you have to reference your point sentence as well. In summary, you need to break down the question, then answer the question with an argument. Next, you have to collect relevant and appropriate examples and analyze them to highlight what they show in relation to your argument. And finally, make sure you're following the PETEL, P-E-T-E, conjunction E-T-E-L, scaffold to ensure your paragraph follows the correct structure. Screenshot the summary to guide you in your own construction of paragraphs. Now it's your turn. Apply these steps to another question that you have answered in class. Happy studying!